Everyone expected the Philadelphia Eagles to not just be bad, but tank. Carson Wentz and Doug Pederson are gone, and we've entered a new era in Philadelphia. The era of Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith. The two dominated together during their time at Alabama, and they're already off to a blazing hot start in the pros. It appears that all hope for the Eagles isn't lost after all. But before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And smack that like button so YouTube actually helps us push out this video. Everyone thought Philadelphia would crash and burn in 2021, but not so fast. The Falcons were favored to take down the Eagles in the season opener in their first game under new head coach Arthur Smith. But surprisingly, the Eagles just took it to him. Hurts put up some pretty impressive numbers and led the Eagles to 25 unanswered points in the victory. But the story was arguably DeVonta Smith. It's so rare for a rookie wide receiver to get in the groove early, but Smith ended up taking his first career catch for an 18-yard touchdown. He finished with 5 catches, a great sign of what's to come for his future in the league alongside Hurts. Like just about everyone, I kind of expected the Eagles to come into this season and be really bad and probably get blown out in the first game by the Falcons. I know Atlanta doesn't have, you have a new head coach coming in, you don't have Julio Jones anymore, but even then, you still have Matt Ryan, you still have Calvin Ridley, and defense has been an issue, but I still thought that was going to be able to triumph over a really, really bad Eagles team on paper. The game did look close there in the first half, back and forth a little bit, but then you get to the second half, and all of a sudden, the Eagles just completely run away with it. Jalen Hurts looked like a fantastic NFL quarterback, and it looked more importantly like Nick Sirianni was using him perfectly in every single possible situation. In 3 of his first 5 career starts, Hurts has passed for over 300 yards and rushed for over 60 yards. There were many concerns on Hurts coming out of college, and many people didn't think that he could actually make it as an NFL quarterback, myself included. He wasn't very fast at going through his reads, and he had a really, really long way to go with his pocket presence. The biggest issue really is his arm, though. It isn't that strong, and his mechanics can cause some poor accuracy at times as well. He was always a guy that was gonna need to be put in the right situation. Hurts can make good decisions, which is huge, but more importantly, he's the prototypical dual threat guy that the league is really starting to fall in love with. To make things even better, he's a true leader. The way he handled his benching to Tua Tagovailoa was incredibly mature and admirable. Even as a Washington fan, I don't really like the Eagles, but Jalen Hurts is a guy that's always worth rooting for on and off the field. Dude was a high recruit who had a ton of early success at Alabama, but it all fell apart and Tua took his job. He handled it so well though. He opted to stay and sit behind Tua for a year before he transferred to Oklahoma, where he impressed with the Sooners before the Eagles took him in the second round in 2020. I think Jalen Hurts was one of the most exciting players to watch in college over just the last decade. His story is like something that, we've never really seen. This guy was a top recruit, came out of nowhere as a freshman, and was a stud. And you're looking at him, you go, this guy is going to be a star at Alabama for a long time. And then he gets benched for a different guy that's now in the NFL. And that left Jalen Hurts in a really weird position where do you stay and have to sit behind Tua or do you transfer away? And he decided to stay one more year, sit behind Tua, and he handled it so well. I didn't think that he would really translate over to the NFL level just with his skill set in general, but at the end of the day, he was such a fun player to watch. He took over for a few games at the end of last season, and he had some really good moments, but at the end of the day, he was still a rookie on a bad team. One of the biggest benefits to this year is going to be his familiarity with DeVonta Smith. It can't be understated how big it is that Hurts now has a guy that he trusts and already has a good relationship with while he's trying to maneuver becoming a starting quarterback in the NFL. DeVonta Smith, ironically, got famous for his walk-off touchdown in the national championship, the game that Jalen Hurts got benched for Tua. He played well for a few years after then and decided to stay for his senior year, a decision even won the Heisman Trophy before the Eagles opted to use their 10th pick at the draft on him. DeVonta Smith kind of flew under the radar in terms of wide receivers at Alabama. I mean, you got to think that they had stars everywhere. Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, you had Jerry Jeudy there. It's not that surprising that somehow DeVonta Smith kind of was able to get buried. I mean, coming into last college football season, every single person was talking about Jalen Waddle. Instead, you have DeVonta Smith, who ends up being the huge topic after Waddle gets hurt. I gotta be honest, I have been pretty skeptical of DeVonta Smith and the whole pre-draft process. The weight thing does really scare me. He is a very small guy, but just when you watch him play, this guy has an immense amount of talent, and he can do anything you need to on the field. He is going to have to break a pretty bad track record with Philadelphia in drafting wide receivers. In 2021, the Eagles took Jalen Reagor one pick before Justin Jefferson, who has torched the league since he came in. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside might be the worst pick of Howie Roseman's tenure, and that alone came years after Nelson Aguilar flamed out in the city of brotherly love. There have been many bumps in the road since the Eagles' magical Super Bowl run, but it's finally a fresh start in Philadelphia. Carson Wentz has made his way to Indianapolis via trade, and Doug Pederson's time is over. Now it's Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts' team. Sunday was a big win for Hurts and Smith, but it was perhaps even bigger for Nick Sirianni in his head coaching debut. There's been some very mixed opinions on his hire, but so far so good on the field. He's bounced around the NFL for years, and he just never landed that big head coach job after being an offensive coordinator in Indianapolis and spending a long time with both the Chargers and the Chiefs. There was a very large belief that Sirianni had inherited a bad team, and that may be true in some regards, but it didn't look like it on Sunday. The Eagles simply won all the battles in the trenches. It can't be understated how many injury problems Philadelphia has had on the offensive line over the past 2 years. Sunday was the first time since 2019 that Jason Kelce, Brandon Brooks, and Lane Johnson all played together. The Eagles led the league in sacks given up in 2020, but you would have never thought that watching them in Week 1 with Hurts only being sacked a single time. On the other side of the ball, the Eagles' defensive tackles were able to get through, especially Javon Hargrave. If the roster around Jalen Hurts can be good week in and out, the Eagles could actually end up being sneaky good. I really did not think that Jalen Hurts was going to be good in Philadelphia. I really didn't think that Jalen Hurts was going to be able to succeed at the NFL level, really at all, and I didn't think he'd get a chance to start, but here we are, and not only is he starting, but he looked pretty good to at least start Week 1, and I think a huge part of that is DeVonta Smith. A guy having that kind of familiarity, especially in his second year in the league, starting to really learn the ropes, is huge. There's already a guy out there that he knows well, a guy out there that he really trusts. And you know what? I think actually the same thing goes with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They already have that. Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle in Miami. It really is helpful for these young quarterbacks, whether they're rookies or like Jalen Hurts in their second year, to already have a guy that they have a rapport with, they're already friends with, and somebody that they can just trust on the field whenever they get in a pinch. I'm starting to actually like Jalen Hurts' odds of really making it in the NFL as a starter. I'd still probably peg him as a backup quarterback, at least for the longevity of his career, but it's surprising that he actually now does have a shot. Now, I also need to slow the roll on the Eagles here. I'm very impressed with Jalen Hurts. I'm impressed with DeVonta Smith. I'm impressed with Nick Sirianni, but this Eagles team is still not going to win the NFC East. It's not a great division, but this year, I do think there are two pretty solid teams in the division. I really don't have any faith in the Giants, and a lot of that comes because of Daniel Jones, and I just don't think the Eagles are actually going to be able to compete with Washington and Dallas. Washington, if Taylor Heineke comes out and is horrible, then I think Eagles can maybe pass them up. But right now, I have Dallas winning the division. I think they're going to end up much better than Washington, especially after Ryan Fitzpatrick went out. I think this is going to be Dallas's division to lose this year. And I don't think that the Eagles are going to be able to keep up with a Cowboys team that has Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper on the outside with CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup, who's hurt now. But the fact that Michael Gallup's your number 3 kind of tells you how explosive that offense is. The Eagles definitely have a shot to make a run won at the division late, but I don't think this is their year. Philadelphia was supposed to be in the basement of a bad NFC East, but here they are actually making some noise early in 2021. Jalen Hurts wasn't expected to come blow people out of the water, but here we are. Combining him with DeVonta Smith was a huge move for the Eagles, and it's already paying off big time. But there's a long way to go in their saga together in Philadelphia. Hey, thanks for watching. Click here to the right to subscribe to the channel. If you don't want to, or you already do because you're awesome, go ahead and click here on the left to watch some more videos. And check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter for content all season long.